Wait, stop! Our future doesn't have to be like that. If you step on in to the secret kindergarten, showing you that your young children hold the key to understanding the universe, understanding the self, and therefore, they hold the key to human freedom. Your child is the gatekeeper. Only you can open the gate, and the secret kindergarten is going to show you how.
Hello, welcome back to the Secret Kindergarten. This is the grown-ups edition of the Secret Kindergarten radio show. I'm your host, Gino, and today's episode we are going to talk about, well, a lot of things. This episode is called Police Play, and it's about basically if you observe young children playing when they get into their superhero play, they show us the dynamic of the good guys and the bad guys and the police guys. And young children distinguish innately that the police don't sit on the side of necessarily, well, they don't sit on the side of the good guys. They are simply the police. So there are the superheroes, there are the bad guys, and there are the police, which teaches us something about morality and authority. But anyway, moving along here, you can check out previous shows in the revolution.radio archives. You can download my content for grown-ups or the 100 plus episodes of a radio show for children on all podcast platforms. And if you do have kids in your life, you can buy some headphones. That's what I'm trying to say. Big cushy headphones, and create a little listening area. And you don't even have to play my stuff, but I will tell you from my experience as an early childhood teacher that young children, as fidgety as they are, and you need some time out as a parent, I'm all about supporting you parents, not necessarily directly telling you what to do. I'm telling you what to do because I want to help you. You can get a little listening area, and young children sit and engage for longer than the television. True story. Okay, and if you check out online, stats and stuff about that, you'll find that it's making a comeback, and just like podcasting, audio only for adults, that's making a comeback, or at least it's still going strong with all the video out there. Okay, so you can check out my content on all podcast platforms. thesecretkindergarten.substack.com, YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, Odyssey, and my website, thesecretkindergarten.com. And if you want to support me, do. If you don't want to support me, that's fine. I provide services, so it's not about just giving me money for jam. This is the jam, and I provide services that you can find on my website, and my services are weird, and they came about from, basically what I got in return for giving up what I do for the kids. Thank you for tuning into Revolution.radio, the number one listener-supported radio station in the whole world. Please help support our efforts and airtime by visiting the station's donations section on our website, Revolution.radio. So starting off, I want to read from, I'm going to try to handle as much of this as I can. This book is called Troublemakers, Lessons in Freedom from Young Children at School by Carla, Shalaby, 2017. Now, let me tell you that this book sucks. Now, oh man, I got so much to say. This is like overwhelm episode for me because I got so much to say about this. This is the crux of the matter, why I do what I do, yada, yada, yada. First off, this chapter I'm going to read is an example. So this lady, Carla Shalaby, spent time, I don't know if it was a week or 2 weeks or more, with different families, with children. First off, there's no talk of family. There's no talk of the familial dynamic in this. It's just about spending time with the kid. Young children, I believe most of these kids were about 5 years old. For some reason, that wasn't even really accounted for in the book. But these are about, she spent time with young children that were considered troublemakers in the institutions. And this book is called Lessons in Freedom from Young Children at School. And this is, so what I'm trying to, so this chapter is about Sean. And Sean is a willfully defiant individual. I believe he is considered to be someone who has oppositional defiance disorder, which is basically one of these names that, the kid's going to end up being like a sociopath or a psychopath when he grows up. And Sean is a typical kid, and it's really sad, and it's not portrayed as that. So I'm going to read some of this, because in my time as a teacher, this was very, I wouldn't say a common kid, but especially boys with aggressive behavior, right? It could be seen as like, the potential alpha males. But just generally, what happens to kids and how kids are, this is very, very typical, and it's very, very sad. And I'm going to try and link it to this police play and basically authoritarianism. And we're going to look at, because we're freedom-minded individuals and we know about tyranny, we know about these things. I'm going to read this because I think it shows relatively clearly the dynamic of authoritarianism and how the schools break the kids down. And then it's this cycle as well, because people need to do something about Sean rather than write books about lessons in freedom while the tyranny continues, because there are no solutions in this book. It's just maybes as they continue to bring the hammer down on the kids. So here we go. On being willful disruptions. Okay. Often left out socially, Sean apparently subscribed to a philosophy of if you can't join them, beat them. Or put another way, if he wasn't going to be included in the classroom in the particular ways that he wanted, then he was going to willfully disrupt those activities in much the same way that he disrupted the morning circle game. He also disrupted many academic lessons. Now, right, I'm stopping already. Sean was a bully, okay? They don't say that in this book because you're not allowed to say it in a socialist Marxist world, okay? He was a bully. On the other hand, he wasn't being allowed to do things that he wanted to do. So it's a double-edged sword. He was being bullied, right, by the system. He wanted to be doing things in particular ways that he wanted. Now, first off, it's about morality, right? Other things that he wanted to do causing harm to another person or to other people. If not, then he should be allowed to do them. And if he's being prevented from doing that, he's being bullied. So the cycle begins. Already, sorry, I'm having flashbacks. Okay. Gather up, Emily announces, as it is, Emily's the teacher, as it is time for a read aloud. The children begin to gather on the rug. And Sean wants to see the front of the book before she has revealed the title. What's the book, he asks. Emily ignores him, as he is already out of line. Okay, and now I'm pulling out again of the reading. This already, he's obviously been allowed to do whatever the heck he wants in the home. He hasn't had boundaries set. Okay? So kids should be allowed to do the things that they want, but also the people around them should be maintaining boundaries of what is appropriate and what's not appropriate, and being firm and taking action on them. That includes physical restraint. It's just common sense stuff. But kids are getting free reign. And not only in the classroom, there are obviously big restrictions, and it's indoctrination, right? You must do all these things. You must comply to all these things. We just totally lose the children because they may not even know what they really want to do. They're just reacting. They're just already just going around going, I want to do this, I want to do that. But none of it is constructive. So they're coming in damaged and they're being destroyed, if that makes sense. Okay, so Sean's job is to settle in and wait to find out. Okay, fair enough. Still, he has made a demand to know and expects it to be met, and he now realizes the full class is gathered as witness. He is at the front, the staging area. Oh, I want to kiss it, he says, pretending to smooch the book. He looks back at his classmates for a laugh or other affirmation and is smiling to himself, pleased with his own humour. Emily, however, is displeased and he quickly becomes angry or perhaps embarrassed. No, he's being angry because it's not going his way. Neither Emily nor the other children found his joke funny. I'm taking a break, he announces, and he moves to the back of the room, once again missing a lesson. This guy, they've got to be at least 5 years old. He's probably 6. Emily begins to read, but Sean does not seem done with his disruption. He walks over to Emily's desk and begins playing with her teacher's markers. Yes, a fat one. He begins waving it around like a sword, again looking to his classmates for someone to notice him in humoured appreciation. Nothing. He starts flipping through one of Emily's notebooks, gets bored, and meanders back over toward the rug. The kids are enjoying the book, reading the repetitious refrains together in chorus. Sean has not been included, so he disrupts. The next time they call out in unison. He says, "Great, it's nice and loud. Let's party." Miraculously, both Emily and the other children manage to ignore him. His attempt to make himself visible, backfires. Now he is invisible. His attempt to be included renders him further excluded. He kicks up the disruption, walking through the group of children gathered on the rug and standing directly in front of the book, blocking their view. Of course, this can't be ignored. He is bold and his disruption is brazen. Emily is impressively calm, sending him once more to take a break. Though his disruptions are ill-conceived and position him further outside the community, usually resulting in his full exclusion, and so the cycle, begins. Well, I'll say continue. I say continues, and I'll explain why. He continues to try to use them as a way to feel included, to be connected, and to have fun. Even in my time with him at home, he used disruptive tactics to engage with me socially. Though he already had my undivided attention, he seemed to be entertained by disruption. Well, that's because you just showed up and he wasn't getting the attention he needed. And it's not about attention, it's about the bond. Young children, and, too bad too bad if it's coming from me, but it is just how it is. And most people do know this, all right? That the young child needs to bond. She doesn't talk about the dad anywhere. I don't think there's a dad there. But the point of the story is that the young children need to have a strong tie with another adult or adults. And he clearly doesn't have that. And she showed up and she's like, well, I'm giving him attention and it's not working. Well, he doesn't know what to do because he didn't have the bond, right? So she's going to have to stay there quite a while. Is the damage already done? I don't know. In this sense, probably. In this example, probably. Oh, man. It's just really sad. So he's going around disrupting the classroom, and that's not good. So I feel sorry for these kids. I get it because, it's not his fault. But now he's in the world of cause and effect. And he is creating a problem. Because the thing here is, who knows what he'd rather be doing? He doesn't know what he'd rather be doing. But the bottom line is, he's being an SHIT, and the bottom line is, that has to be, he's being a bully, and that needs to be stood up to and stopped. So he can become one of the male leaders of the future. Think of the responsibility that he has if people stand up to him being like that. But it's not. It's all this wishy-washy stuff that we're reading about in this. So let's continue. We are in the living room when he pulls out Bop It, a handheld electronic game. Here we go. That has 5 possible actions. The toy barks out instructions indicating, so look. So he's got video games. He's been neglected. And it's all about him. No, it should be about everybody else in his environment. What were they doing? And now it's this poor boy's responsibility to pull himself out of the mud. It actually is, no matter what. And standing up to bullies is giving them the best chance that they've got to bring themselves out of this mess. Okay, so the author plays the game, and she tries several times with little success, mostly because Sean gave me poor instructions. Oh, it's all Sean's fault. But now he's finding it enjoyable to see how badly I'm doing, and when I tell him I am sure I can beat his high score, he ends up deciding to sabotage all my turns. He talks loudly so I won't hear the toy's instructions. He pulls on the wrong parts when it's my turn and when the toy is in my hands. Yeah, this is almost every child these days, guys. It's really bad. He's having the absolute time of his life, disrupting all my turns. Yeah, you should be literally pinning him on the ground going, you want to keep doing that? Like, literally. I know I'm kind of damning myself saying this stuff. It's true. It's true. You've got to show kids that you have boundaries, like you don't like certain things happening to you. And you definitely have to show them when it's like something that is really causing harm. Sure, you're a grown-up. You can take that, right? You've got patience or whatever. Of course you can take it. But that's not how the world works, right? So you got to ham it up a little bit. Okay, take my hats off to all the parents out there, man, because... oh, man, you got to, like, it's the hardest thing ever. He's having the time of his life disrupting all my turns, far more fun than he has when it's his own turn to play. Yeah, because he wants attention. He wants to engage with people. And now he doesn't know how. He refuses to pass me the toy when it's my turn. And even though I still want to try to compete with his high score, he puts the game away when he's bored with it, showing no interest in my preferences. Yes, because he's becoming a little psychopath boy. Despite the way he behaves, Sean's mum describes him consistently as a very social kid. Oh, this woman needs a smack. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. And just a reminder, I don't have children. So, take what I say with a pinch of salt. I was a teacher for 5 years. I think I already said that anyway. And this is where I learned everything and got my views from. Again, if you do have kids and you are listening to this, you have my utmost respect, you really do. And the reason I do this is because I see how impossibly impossible it is for parents to do the thing that I know that they need to do, and that you get put on the hamster wheel, right? We're all on the hamster wheel. Because I didn't even, I didn't have kids because I did all this. And then people have kids, can't do all this because they're giving everything they've got to provide. It's the trap. So I'm hoping we can work together, because I care about all you parents out there. I honestly do. It's undoubtedly true that he wants to be in a relationship. Many of his antics, sorry, I've read more than this, that's why I'm being pretentious about this. Many of his antics are about clowning, trying to get a laugh from other kids, trying to be noticed by them. He spends an exorbitant amount of time at school trying to get the attention of one particular peer whom he considers his friend. Indeed, countless incidents of getting in trouble stem from his desire to inappropriately entertain and win the affection of this particular child. Elan, the central object of Sean's friendly affection, is himself a disruptive force in the classroom, loud and distractible, bursting with energy, active, physical, extroverted. Excellent. Elan is included, though, in the central group of boys who play together and work together at school. He is liked and accepted, though it seems so. This here. Loud, distractible, bursting with energy, active, physical, extroverted boy. These are the targets in the center. Okay? These are the potential powerful forces of change in the human race in terms of physical action. And these are the targets in the classroom. And they are stamped out. Every effort is made to stamp them out, and this chapter is an example of this. It's really sad, man. Elan is included, though, in the central group of boys who play together and work together at school. He is liked and accepted, though it seems he gets in trouble every bit as much as Sean. While he certainly gives Emily a run for her money, he is slightly less problematic and requires less of her attention overall because he gets his work done, doesn't aggravate his classmates as often through his disruptions, and is not as quick to become angry or have an outburst. I often witness Sean vying for Elan's attention and approval, overtly and covertly. Elan is a central figure as I observe, interact with, and try to understand Sean. Sometimes Sean is trying to be with Elan, trying to be near him, earnestly trying to get attention. Okay, so just more attention-seeking behavior. They engage in disruption together. Other occasions, Sean seems to pick a fight with Elan, as if having his negative attention is better than having no attention at all. Sure. Sean is vying for Elan's affection and attention. On one occasion, the children were working on a persuasive writing assignment that required them to make a request and back it up with 3 reasons why that request should be met. Elan decides to persuade his mother to schedule a playdate with Sanjay, and this is upsetting to Sean. A long conversation and argument ensue about why Elan won't request a playdate with Sean instead. Sean complains that Elan almost never playdates with him, and there is discussion and debate about this. Elan names several examples of times they did have playdates. Neither child is using an aggressive tone. It is an honest and earnest conversation in which Sean is trying to understand and Elan is trying to be somewhat sensitive. But Elan insists he first wants the playdate with Sanjay and then with you, Sean. This seems to quiet Sean for a moment, but he still can't settle into his work. Elan leaves his chair to sharpen a pencil, and Sean takes the chair. Sean is seeking social connection and tries many strategies, helpful and unhelpful, appropriate and inappropriate, honest and provocative, to secure it. Disruption plays an important part in his attempts to make friends. He is willing to play disruptive games and get in trouble if it means a good time. This is because he hasn't been able to disrupt other people enough, or he hasn't been shown what is disruptive or not. How do you know what disruption is if no one does anything about the thing that you do? Then it's not disruptive, it's just you doing whatever you want and it's okay. Does that make sense? Cause and effect. As soon as a child can walk and use their arms properly, they're learning about the natural law principle of cause and effect. But in the institutions and in these, I just don't even know why it's in the home, there is no effect to the cause. Because there's no balance. People just let their kid do whatever they want. And then they go to the center and they, again, let the kids kind of do whatever they want. And then they just use all these non-active strategies to stop them from doing things, and it just shows that nothing's happening. Nothing happens when you do something disruptive. And he is willing to use disruption to get a peer's negative attention, seeming to prefer it to no attention at all. Importantly too, sometimes the disruption is a way to cope with hurt feelings. Oh, poor little shiny Waddy. This is where, things have to get a bit hard for Sean. For his sake. It's for his sake. It's out of care for him, not anything else. Both Emily and Kate describe Sean as deeply social, seeking connection, aka he's a bully. He's doing the narcissist, he's doing the dark triad psychology thing, right? He's feeding off everybody. He's taking their psychic energy. He needs them. Still, being social doesn't just mean wanting to be around people. Also includes knowing how to be with those other people in a reciprocal relationship. Yes, but nobody has taught him that yet. Here, Sean's social skills fall short, and he too heavily relies on disruption, which most often then results in his exclusion from the community altogether. Antisocial behavioral. Perhaps he feels a general sense of non-belonging and loneliness. I bet he does. Sean perceives unfairness in his relations with others and strongly reacts to any sense of slight. He often accuses other children of being disrespectful and yells at them in an accusatory tone. For looking at him the wrong way, for copying him, for stealing from him, for making fun of him, for crowding, bossing him. This makes other children avoid him. And just looking at the chat here, Fleaplorable American, which I believe is the artist formerly known as Flea, wrote, Sean will someday make a perfect politician. Well, Fleaplorable American, you have knocked it right on the head. That is basically the whole point of this show. I can now sign off early. But it's true. So excellent point. Yeah. You said it better than me so far. So awesome. Appreciate that comment. And that's the point of this, that the path that Sean's heading down. Okay, and his mother adds, he's just very, very social. He's very loving. He loves his family. He loves his friends. He just gets very emotionally invested in people. Okay, so I've already said what I said. I'm not a parent, and I've stated my position on parents, and I'm doing this for parents. I'm doing this for families. I'm doing this for the kids of the world, or whatever, or whoever's listening, right? The mum just doesn't have any standards, it appears. I'm sorry. He's a bully. Bullies love people in the sense that they need them to be the bully, okay? He's just off on the wrong foot as a young child. And so let's just read a little bit more of this part of the chapter. This additional perspective, this different angle, helps me to see Sean as overly sensitive because he is loving, invested with his whole heart, feeling deeply. It helps me to empathize with his hurt feelings, which sometimes seem overblown to me and likely to Emily. An overreaction to unintentional slights. The tone and style he uses with other children rarely look, sound, or feel loving. His mother reminds me that, ironically, his harsh approach stems from how desperately he wishes to love and be loved by his peers. His harshness is a misguided search for kindness, his disruptions a misguided attempt at connection. Now, this book really is sick. I don't know if you're picking up what I'm picking up from this, like especially this last thing. Like in the institutions, it's basically the institutions are a place that apologize for narcissistic, psychopathic, Machiavellian behavior, and this lady's making apology for the mum. Possibly it's this neo-feminist stuff, just, she's a woman, so she can't do anything wrong. I don't know, right? But are you picking up on the narcissism in this author? Are you picking up on the language, like the frame of this? It's actually more about the author than anything else and what she knows. And, oh, look, I can see that. I can see the love in people. I'm such an amazing person. Like, look at the love in this. Anything but actually do something about it. Do something proper, because look what's going to happen now. Willful distraction. So going from that paragraph, it helps me to see from the perspective of mum, it helps me to see Sean as overly sensitive. He's so loving. Okay? Very next part of the book. Willful distractions. Sean gets put on ADHD medication. Okay? Sorry, I'm actually really pissed off. She takes a long pause, tears gathering. It almost made me cry, like maybe I should have been more alert to this. The doctor is not one to jump to things, and that's one thing that I've always liked about her, and she just felt like knowing him as long as she had. And doing some observations, reading the questionnaires, mine and Emily's were very consistent. She thought medication for ADHD was worth a try, that he really seemed like a classic kid who might need a little help focusing. So we did start the medication, and I was very trepidatious about it. I was afraid it would change his personality. That was my biggest concern. I didn't want him to become a robot kid. As it turned out, the medicine did not result in making him a robot kid, but it did seem to make him extremely emotional. Yes, because his actions have been thwarted through the medication. He's been made docile so that instinctive action to try and bond that's been distorted and still needs that outlet has been medicated, and now it's all coming out through the emotions. Though his academic work steadily improved, his handwriting clearer, this kid must be at least 6 years old. So they're saying young children. He is a young child at 6, but he's coming online pretty soon. His written ideas more focused, his assignments more frequently completed. In the final weeks of school, he cried almost daily. Oh man. He didn't want to go to recess. He didn't want to participate in field day. He wanted his mum and often begged to go home with her. It was as if, so he's going back to the medications, taking him back to the start. You know, the mask has been taken off. That's what they're saying here. There were many changes coming at the end of the year. Summer vacation would mean more loneliness. Emily was leaving for graduate school and he would have a new teacher. Elan announced a move to Texas, which was heartbreaking for Sean. Still, Kate and Emily felt the medication was contributing to his sadness. No longer able to distract his mind by flitting from one thing to the other, he seemed to feel more strongly and have to face those feelings. Wow, thanks to medication. Who cares about doing something about things? The medication seemed to allow Sean to express his feelings in a way that more accurately reflected them. I have no doubt that Sean is naturally inclined to distractions, but I did wonder if some of his distractibility was willful, an intentional effort to avoid tasks and feelings that he found unpleasant or unmanageable. Being impossible during solitary activities at home won him the attention of his mum, as well as her ongoing efforts to make sure that he had many playdates that helped him to avoid a sense of loneliness and boredom. Losing focus during a lesson allowed him or forced him to take a break to escape. This is unbelievable, this book. Are you picking up on the unbelievableness of this? I'm a bit lost for words here. So, willful defiance. Sean's willfulness, his willful disputes, demands, disruptions, and distractions drew my attention because I'd been closely following the story of a school board decision in California. In May of 2013, the Los Angeles Unified School District Board voted to end the practice of suspending and expelling students for willful defiance, a vague, subjective, and all-encompassing charge that includes acts like mouthing off to a teacher, having a bad attitude, refusing to take off a hat, and causing any disruption. The willful defiance charge accounts for 54% of suspensions and 25% of expulsions in the state of California. I am easily persuaded that its use is a civil rights violation. All those people that could be put on medication and stay in school, eh? Punishment for willful defiance does not only violate the individual, but it threatens democracy. Oh, this is where her idea of freedom is coming in. Sean is willfully defiant. Unlike children who may be learning the culture of schooling, the expectations, the rules, and the consequences, Sean is well aware of the culture. Indeed, when asked to draw what a good attitude looks like, he produced an image of Emily, labelled with her name. Oh, he's towing the line all right. He understands where the authority is. In Sean's view of school, the teacher's role is to issue a directive. Do it, and a child with a good attitude will compliantly agree to try to meet that demand. So there it is. There's the authoritarianism, okay? And then here's the thing. In these case studies and these examples, it's like, what about the kids that would rather be doing something else? Are there those children that have a bond and they're coming into the center and they're being defiant. That's very... I don't know. I don't know if there is that. When I asked him what he believed was the number one rule of school, no distraction, he quickly replied, to listen. There is no dispute or disruption, no distraction or defiance. You are supposed to just do everything, he explains. He understands what he is supposed to do, yet he behaves otherwise. Yes. There we go, because kids are smart, okay? How are we for time? Schools claim to prepare children for a future in an imagined real world. To teach and reward unquestioning cooperation is to maintain the status quo, preparation for the hierarchical social order of workers and bosses. By contrast, preparation for social change might instead recognize and celebrate the need for pesky and impassioned dispute. If we listen to Sean's teaching, we hear the need for schools to instead cultivate in children the habit of strategic, informed, and collective questioning. As an individual, Sean has the natural proclivity to question. He could be taught to adjust his tone, to learn the formal processes for making demands, including community organizing, written appeal, thoughtful debate. Literacy questions for him might be framed through this lens, and with this goal in mind, helping him understand literacy as power, helping him understand the role he might play as citizen of the classroom community with a helpfully loud voice. Here we go. Sean's defiance is indeed willful, and it is instructive. Sean defies the celebration of unquestioning obedience and raises the need for willful dispute. He defies the authority of the adult and honors the willful demands of the child. He defies invisibility by insisting on willful disruption. He defies boredom and control through use of willful distraction. And perhaps most of all, in Sean's case, willful defiance is an expression of the human need for belonging and community. And also, I'm adding to that, is the need for kids to have a strong bond with a parental figure, so they don't end up acting like this. And I just want to go back, I missed something here. In Sean's tireless quest for dispute, we learn that he values questioning. He refuses to simply accept things as they are. Instead, he requires solid justifications for the demands being made on him. And this is what's beaten out of the kids, berated out of them. So the questioning actually should be the other way around. So now I just want to add to this that the solution would have been, it appears that Sean is an only child, right? There's no dad, just a mum, and she didn't create the bond with her child, okay? Now, I know this is Gino, the guy that doesn't have kids, talking about parenting. Well, it's not really about parenting. It's about what's good for a kid. Okay, his situation was he needed to bond with the kids. And the whole point of the secret kindergarten is my discovery of spending time with kids in doing and facilitating activities and play. If Sean's mum did that, she probably didn't have time or capacity to. I accept that, right? I get it. And that's where it comes to, I don't have the right to say this because I'm not a parent and blah, 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 and I don't know how hard it is. Yeah. Well, I do know how hard it is. I understand how hard it is. I don't know firsthand because I'm not a parent. And the point of the story is that Sean's mum didn't have an idea of what was right or wrong and what's good for a human being and what's good for humanity or not. Okay? And the solution to all of that, you can't make people do this, right? But the solution would have been for Sean's mum to spend more time with Sean in play. And ideally there would have been other kids around too. And in free play as well, you don't necessarily have to do anything in particular. Now this, what I'm about to talk about here, with only a few minutes left because I'm doing too much blah, 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 is something I discovered in the institutions, right? In the early learning centers. So I don't know if there was a huge, what am I trying to say here? well, let's face it, like an early learning centre, that's like a child prison, right? Let's face it. 100 kids herded into a building with a little play area, and everything's all measured out, square meterage per capita, per head, and that sort of thing. So there's a bit of a prison vibe, right? And I don't know if this contributes to this, but there's a thing I call police play. And in every centre, in free play time, during free play, when, it was my turn to supervise, I'd join in, right? So I'd play the friend card. And with kids, it's about being a friend, but being also the friend that stands up for themselves. So not being the friend that lets their friend do anything they want all the time and just supports them unequivocally. You've got to have your boundaries. But anyway, this dynamic showed up in multiple centres. So I was the constant in the trial, but all I did was respond, okay? So I would respond to the kids leading the play. That's it. I didn't make any suggestions. I just went with whatever they said. And the game would be, because it was funny, right? Because the growing up would just be like, I was the adult. I just, whatever they wanted to do, we'd just play that game. So the game would be imprisoning me, having me as a captive. And the whole point of what I'm saying is it was a play on authority. They were exploring essentially authoritarianism. And what the characters that would be, I'd be the prisoner, and there would be the police, there would be the bad guys. I was the bad guy, because it was funny to make the teacher the bad guy, right? I was the bad guy, and then there would be kids that joined in that wanted to save the bad guy because he wasn't actually the bad guy, and the people saving the bad guy were superheroes. This is all instigated by the children. So the good guys were Superman, Spider-Man, Batman, blah, blah, blah. The bad guy was me, and I would say, what did I do? And they would be like, it doesn't matter. Or they might make something up, or they'd just say, it doesn't matter, I'm the police. But the police were always just the police. And in the centres and everywhere, when the kids are being the police, what are the police doing? All the police are doing is going around locking people up. There's not even a reason. They're just, I'm the police! You're in big trouble! You going over here, you do this, you do that, you do this, you do that. And so my, conspiracy theory is that kids understand that police aren't really good. They're just police. They just go and lock people up and take people away and boss people around. They understand this authority dynamic. And Sean understood this too. But the sad thing about Sean is that he already been lost because he didn't know what he liked doing or what he wanted to do. And so his rebellious nature, or his questioning nature, like, who are you to tell me what to do, was lost because he didn't know what he was doing, because he didn't have the bond. And my point is, with the police play, if you spend time with kids as a friend in play, and don't, and also maintain your boundaries, like flip the switch when you have to, this understanding brushes off onto you. Like, these concepts of authority are just become more ridiculous because there's no need for that, because the familial dynamic is happening in the correct way. And so if Sean's mum did more of that, God bless her, what have you, but she is being one of these parents, like Cartman's mum, right? There was an episode in South Park about this. If she spent time with Sean and play, then that would have changed. I believe that would have changed her understanding of like what's good and what's not, and what needs to be done. And then Sean would have possibly fitted into the classroom a bit better, or if he didn't fit into the classroom, he would have had more of a sense of what he'd rather be doing in the class. He would have found more constructive ways to think. But the bottom line is that the institutions, early learning centres, in the way that Sean's had to sit down and learn to read and to write at 5 years old, is absolutely wrong, and it is a bullying system. And I hope what I read showed that. Why should Sean have to sit there and do all these things? It's just that Sean wasn't given enough from his family to present a case example of why the institutions are bad. So then the ADD medication comes out, and Sean's completely lost to the system, completely lost. And just making the case here for nature play in forest schools. Again, easier said than done. But kids like Sean need to be out and about and, picking up hammers and nails and building things and, causing trouble outside, climbing trees, getting into fights with other boys, all those things to do around cause and effect. And the guardian angels take care of the rest. They really do. And that's the best kind of neglect. There also needs to be the stuff that I was saying, like taking time and play. But if you aren't able to do that, the kids, young children need to be in nature and with other kids and sorting out problems, but also learning from nature and letting nature teach them cause and effect, getting injuries and stuff like that. And again, I get it, easier said than done. But the bottom line here is, I don't think people need to rip their kid out of the institutions once they realize that the institutions are these indoctrination, mind control centers or what have you. I really do believe that the importance is actually the bond between the adult and the child, the young child. That is the most important thing. So the question is, like, how is that going to happen? Is that going to happen by pulling your kid out of the center? Maybe. But it's just adding in that extra 20 minutes a day or that extra 10 minutes a day, because there's a rich fountain of information to be had and learnt from the young kids. And it's fun, and you get to reflect on your own behavior, and you get to reflect on what you like to do and stuff as well. Because kids like to do all the things that human beings like to do that are creative, right? So, yeah, I hope that makes sense. But, man, it's just, Sean is a sad case, and Sean's case is, really a typical and common thing. And, the institutions don't like kids like Sean. But Sean also is a bully, and the solution to that is other kids need to be empowered to stand up to Sean, and Sean needs to be put in his place. That's the only immediate solution to Sean's behavior in the classroom. Child to child, children need to stick up for themselves, and Sean needs to learn his place. And poor Sean, it's all on him, but he has the opportunity in that realm where kids are encouraged to stand up to themselves, to become the leader of tomorrow and to create the freedom that we all want to live in. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love you guys. We'll see you at the next one.